Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Raw is Jericho! Hell yeah! Get some
You will rest in peace.
The whole world will acknowledge me.
Don't adjust that station. The boys are back. The wrestling addicts have returned after a lengthy absence that will make Roman Reigns jealous. The boys are back. It's Nick and Matt. Hope you had a great fourth. Money in the Bank is right around the corner. It's good. Things are going good. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, there's a lot going on these days, right? I've got my bachelor parties next week. We've got Money in the Bank tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night. Am I crazy?
Yes.
And what was surprising to me about Money in the Bank being tomorrow was that they kind of had qualifiers like really, really late. Like we didn't actually know everybody that was going to be in Money in the Bank till Monday, which is kind of like, wow, wait, did they even finish, or is there another match today to decide who's wrestling tomorrow?
I think it's the card is.
Yeah, I think we got a full card. How's my audio? I feel like
That's great. No, it's great. It's great now. You were struggling before. You sounded really far away before. Now you're great. Nice and crisp.
awesome. You even sound crisp too. You know what? It's the Mac. I blame the Mac. Apple's terrible at times, you know, even though I shit on the green bubbles, you know, it's rough. But I feel like, you know, like you have a lot going on. I think so does WWE. And, you know, I feel like these pay-per-views, these PLEs, whatever you want to call them, they are more frequent than before. You know, I don't know if it's just because I'm older and time is just speeding up, but it just seems that, you know, we just had a pay-per-view like a couple of weeks ago. And we don't have that lengthy gap anymore.
I saw somebody say something with regard to that. Actually, no, I take it back. I'm a liar. It wasn't with regard to that. It was a conversation of WWE should bring back the WCW brand and do Nitro on Netflix. And I thought to myself, what would be the point of that? It would just be like SmackDown. It would be like the thing that made a separate promotion, which is what we have now with AEW. What made it good was that you couldn't show up on the other show. They were non-related. Yeah. They were directly in competition. And that's what made it great. And honestly, I'll be honest with you. Competition is what made wrestling great in the first place, not just from across companies, but even within the own company where it was like, all right, you just put on a banger. I'm going to go put one on right after you. I don't feel like that's the case anymore. Now everybody's just walking the line like, all right, this is the story. We're going to do the story. But it used to be that it was just like, damn, you put on that show and I got to go after you, you son of a bitch. How am I going to top that? I don't feel like anybody ever tries to top anybody else. I feel like they have their cues that they're going to do. And that's it. And I'll give you a perfect example. Last week, I went to SmackDown at Madison Square Garden with a group of our friends. My buddy Pat, I went with my father-in-law. I took him. His birthday was yesterday, so as a birthday gift to him, I brought him to the Garden to go see probably his first wrestling match in person in probably 30 years. And he watches wrestling every week, so he you know, he's a very stoic man, but he's definitely into it. And somebody made a comment where they said there's been like 3 triple threat matches. I remember when I was a kid, you got 1 triple threat match maybe, and that was a big deal. They started the show off with Cody and his entourage putting one of the freaking Bloodline through a table. And nothing that happened after that was it was remotely interesting. All the popcorn matches, I swear to God, you could have dropped a pin in the garden. There was more noise in the commercial break between Orton, Cody, and Kevin Owens, fat James Corden, Canadian James Corden, waiting for the commercial to be over, and then RKOing and subsequently crossroading the security guard. There was more noise during the break, and you could tell that there's like a break, and then there was during the popcorn matches. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, so why do we do this? For equality purposes? Like, clearly the fans don't give a shit, and the fans that say they do give a shit are not enough to actually warrant like a noise. Because I'm sitting in the garden, Jalen Brunson's there, he ain't fucking paying attention. It was so quiet. Like they put microphones underneath the ring outer. They didn't need it for the popcorn matches. Didn't need it at all. Could have stayed quiet the entire time. You could have heard every single thing. They were very sloppy. But again, they started off the show with somebody going through a table, a main character going through a table, and nothing that happened thereafter was at all as interesting. I sat there and I was literally like blown away. I was like, oh shit, that's a hell of a way to start the show off. And then everything that kind of happened after it, it was like, oh, great. So the 3 main characters showed up to start the show and then kind of fucking dipped. And then the only thing that happened after that, I guess is significant to the world, if you give a fuck about those characters, was the Bloodline putting Paul Heyman through a table.
Yeah, I know how you feel about the Bloodline, but this...
I mean, they're all Nepo babies. I don't like Nepo babies. None of them are significantly talented enough to warrant my attention. They're just related to
Fatu.
Say again?
Jacob Fatu, I think, is the best out of that.
I haven't seen him do anything. Has he wrestled?
I think the problem that I have is that I don't really watch anything outside of WWE. So, like, whatever they did in New Japan, Ring of Honor, wherever they may have come from, I just know about them from their name and not what they've actually done.
Their reputation.
Right, yeah. So, like, you know, even with the Tonga brothers, you know, the Gorillas of Destiny, you know, like
I've
our
heard
buddy Tom. Yeah, our buddy Tom, who he watches everything. He told me all about them. He goes, watch when they come. And a lot of the struggle with Jacob Fatu is that he could be the biggest star in the group, which may overshine Solo. Because right now, Solo sounds like the kid from fucking Malcolm in the Middle, who was in the wheelchair. Is Stevie, I think his name? He's like, yeah. So, Malcolm, what are we gonna... It was just like, it's just the way Solo cuts a promo. Roman Reigns is missed. And the moment he comes back, the place will erupt.
I'm going to be honest with you. I listen, you and I come from a different generation of wrestling. I am never impressed by guys that need mouthpieces to do their talking for them. And that's Roman Reigns. He doesn't have Paul Heyman because he's great at cutting a fucking promo. And that's why I have very little respect, very little adoration. Because all of them have respect for me. They put their bodies through a lot. They all have my respect, but I have very little adoration for guys like Bret Hart that couldn't cut a promo after TV went live because he just wasn't smart enough to be on that level with a mic as Shawn Michaels, as The Rock, as Stone Cold. Triple H to a certain degree, as he got older, was much better with a microphone. Even fucking Vince with a microphone, world's better than fucking Bret. And same thing with Brock Lesnar. He needed Paul Heyman because he couldn't fucking work a mic. Undertaker early on in his career had Paul Bearer because he couldn't work a fucking mic. Kane couldn't work a mic to start his career off. And now we're at Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns can't work a fucking mic either. Like, he really can't.
Better now.
He's better now, and that's great. But his moveset is limited. He doesn't do anything remotely. Like, people, what was interesting about The Rock was that he's like 6'4" and he could kip up. And I don't think we ever saw anybody kip up at that size prior to The Rock. And that was like, wow, athleticism. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now it's just like super kicks. It's played out. Everybody does it. It's not athletic anymore. It's the standard. So there's really nothing that Roman does that I'm impressed with. He has the look. I'll give him that much because I'm like Vince, where I want my champion to look like a champion. I don't want them to look like Kevin Owens, fat James Corden. I don't want them to look like fucking Sami Zayn, who looks like a homeless person. Like he looks like a guy they literally find off of bum fights. And say that it's stupid. It doesn't make a difference to me. Like it's more believable as entertainment, right? Because we all know that it's scripted, but it's supposed to be. I hate when I say this because I sound like Kevin Nash or Bill Goldberg. It makes more sense when the guy looks like he's in shape because then it gives you some plausibility that he might be able to take a punch,
right?
Or he might be able to throw a punch.
I agree with
Roman.
Too,
Roman looks the part. Roman looks the part.
Yeah, and you need your champion to look the part. And listen, no offense to Cody, but before he tore his pec, Cody was big, but then he got hurt, and then he never regained that mass back. And even with Cody standing, because I just watched the WrestleMania 40 behind the curtain that took like 4 months to come out. I was watching it, and Cody standing next to The Rock was like night and day. You know, like Cody is.
Fair, that's not fair though, because The Rock's on fucking juice and HGH and everything else under the sun because he's not a permanent fixture there. He doesn't have to get tested.
All right, then Roman, even with Cody standing next to Roman, like Roman, he's like you said, he looks the part. He's big. He's the long hair. He's jacked.
Cody
with
looks
Cody.
The part. Shawn looked the part.
Right. That's perfect. I like that.
He's not The Rock big. He's not Stone Cold big. He's Shawn Michaels big.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's got a little bit less athleticism than Shawn, but I think Cody's still athletic. I just think that they don't have a real direction. And people are blaming Cody for whatever's happening right now, not being as good as it was 4 months ago, 6 months ago. But to be fair, the numbers that they were pushing 6 months ago had nothing to do with Roman Reigns and everything to do with The Rock.
I agree.
How many people came out of the woodwork? How many people came out of the woodwork to watch when The Rock came back simply because they watched The Rock 25 years ago and they're like, oh, he's back. I got to watch this now. Right. Same thing with Hogan versus Rock. People came out of the woodwork to see that match because it's Rock versus Cena. Rock is a draw for non-wrestling fans. If you don't watch wrestling, you have no idea who Roman Reigns is.
My brother-in-law's girlfriend during that time of WrestleMania, even like on her TikTok or anything, she was seeing stuff with The Rock. And then, because Danny would watch it and I would talk about it, she'd be like, wow, this is like, is he allowed to say this? Is he allowed to do this? Like, wow, this is really cool. And you don't really have that right now. And the problem, I think, like what you were talking about with like how many triple threat matches, there's just so many fucking people that they have that you have to showcase all. Yeah, you have to showcase all of them. That's probably why people are talking about like another brand, like another, like WCW or something. But it's too much.
You got to make a brand that you can't cross over. I don't want to make different pay-per-views. Every week, you have a different pay-per-view for only that brand. If you make a WCW brand, I don't want to see the WCW guys at WrestleMania.
Right.
Put the WCW, and then the other thing is you have to make them all important. That was the problem with the World Heavyweight Championship just now, is that they made that belt significantly less important than the Universal Undisputed Championship, which they're supposed to be on equal footing, but they're clearly not. And because they're clearly not, the Intercontinental belt and the United States belt have taken a notch down. Because I'm looking at Sami Zayn carrying that belt on Monday, and I'm going, really, guys? This is the number 2 guy? This is the number 2 guy.
I agree with you because I know you didn't like the character or just him in general, but like when Gunther was champion, he looked the part, he carried himself as a champion, and it was
I don't like his promo skills. That's all. That's it. And I don't like the concept of technical wrestling, because basically you're saying he's super safe, his moves are done to the letter, but they're nothing very much interesting. which is factual about everything that Gunther does. He does all his moves safely, and that's the most important thing when we're talking about pro wrestling. Being safe is the paramount thing of all wrestlers. You want to be safe because you want to be able to wrestle the following day. He does everything technically proficient, so like they all look good, but there's nothing remotely interesting about anything that he does. Like his finisher is a power bomb. I'm fairly certain we see 8,000 guys give power bombs every fucking week. What makes his so special? It's like Hogan's leg drop. Like, ooh, watch out. Right. It's not even like Hogan. If Hogan was Yoko, then yes, that leg drop is fucking a killer.
Yeah, that's mad funny because I don't remember when it was, but I saw like Nia Jax do a leg drop. And the bitch kicked out. Someone kicked out of a Nia Jax leg drop.
I wouldn't kick out of that shit.
Right? Dude, if Hogan hit a leg drop, you were done. But Nia's massive.
But
Sami Zayn it on these women?
The Intercontinental belt, especially the women, Zelina Vega's 5'1". She's getting up from that? I don't think so. Right. But Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental belt, for those who don't know, because they grew up in a 2-belt world, the Intercontinental belt pre-merger was the second most important belt in the WWF, WWE, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That guy that carried that belt, and you look at it pre-2000. The guy that carried that belt, except for maybe one or two of them, when they carried the belt, they had gigantic aspirations. They had the company had that guy pegged as that guy's going to win a championship one day. Like he's going to be the flag carrier one day, the flag bearer for this fucking organization. He's going to be our fucking leading the fleet into battle. And you look at the guys that carried him, right? You look at somebody, and I'm not saying everybody pans out. I'm saying is when the guy showed up, that was the intention. Even from guys like Ahmed Johnson. When he showed up on the scene, he had the look, he had the build, he had the tenacity, he had the athleticism, and everybody pegged him as like, dude, you're going to be a heavyweight champion one day. But you got to start somewhere. You can't start at heavyweight champion. You got to start at tag team, then intercontinental. Because back then, what we have 3 belts until they made the European belt, and then we had 4 belts.
Yeah.
So like Shawn became heavyweight champion. I think Diesel was intercontinental champion for a day, wasn't he?
Yeah, Diesel was Diesel. You had Brett, you had Austin, Triple H, The Rock.
Razor. If Razor never leaves, he becomes heavyweight champion.
Right.
Yeah, and then you'll sit there and say, oh, well, what about Ken Shamrock? Ken Shamrock, when he came in, he had the look. They had aspirations. And then the merger happened, and that was gone. Once the corporation came about and they started taking the defectors from WCW because WCW was going down.
Yeah.
Same problem that you're saying right now. They moved to 2 shows. Now they had SmackDown and Raw, and they had too many wrestlers. So it was like, okay, we just brought Big Boss Man over. If Ken Shamrock goes into the heavyweight conversation, we're talking pre-corporation. Who does Big Boss Man feud with? Because he's not going to be the heavyweight guy. I mean, if you look at the picture and you see somebody like back then, at least Triple H was Intercontinental Champion, The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn, Undertaker. I don't think Undertaker was ever Intercontinental Champion.
No.
But now you go on, and now they've all entered the heavyweight picture, and now it's those 5 guys that are all vying for the heavyweight championship belt. You can't have 15 guys going for the heavyweight championship belt,
right?
But even so. You're waiting for one of those guys to leave. It's just that they never left because WCW was going down. And I just don't see Sami Zayn as a number 2 guy in the company. Whoever's going for the heavyweight championship belt, he's the number 2 guy. The number 1 guy's got the undisputed belt, and the number 2 guy has got the heavyweight belt, which, again, they're supposed to be on equal footing, but they're not.
I think they're getting there now. The problem is that you didn't have this new world title while Roman was champ for 3 years.
You had 2 belts. They merged them.
Right, but
you gave them both to the same bum who never wrestled. So nobody saw a championship. Like, dude, they had 2 belts. Neither one of them got defended more than like twice. What did he have? 8 defenses in 3 fucking years for 2 belts? In boxing, they'd have taken one of those belts away.
Before the titles merged, when you had the Universal and the WWE title, I feel like.
By the way, that was always stupid. By the way, what the fuck does Universal mean?
Yeah, I feel like they never should have had just one champion,
right?
Because even like in 02, when they first did Raw and SmackDown, their own separate thing. Ric Flair and Vince, they had one champion, and he went to both shows, which is how it should be. Which is what I wish they did now, to where that one champion was the company champ. Raw is not a company. SmackDown's not a company. They're two brands within a company. The company,
Well, I mean,
one
if you want to
champion.
do that, then that's fine. You know what you could do it like? Do it like fucking pro sports, right? Raw is the AL, SmackDown's the NL. You have a National League and American League champion every year. They carry whatever belt throughout the year. And then at WrestleMania, you have a cup and you win the cup. It's just a trophy for that 1 year, and you won it for your brand. Just like they used to back in the day, you used to win a Slammy Award. Same shit.
Yeah.
And you can Owen Hart that shit where you put a fucking Slammy cup on your fucking, or WrestleMania cup on your damn trunks for the whole fucking year, or your trunks go gold for the year because you're the fucking company champion, the entertainment champ, whatever you want to fucking call it. It doesn't matter. It's just another notch to put in your belt, but it doesn't take away the belt for everybody else. Or do it like the NBA, where like if you have a championship, you get that gold tag on the back of your jersey. So if you win the WrestleMania Cup, then you get a special fucking plate to put on your belt.
I like that.
And you have it forever. Or you get a ring and you can fucking wear that ring. You could, like, there's so many things that you can do, but keep the brands separate. There are too many wrestlers crossing brands every day. And then it gets to the point where they do the draft and it ends up becoming meaningless because everybody shows up on every other show, no matter what.
The way they do the draft, I don't like. I like how they did it when they first started doing the brand split, to where draft night, it will be someone from Raw versus someone from SmackDown, and then the winning brand gets a lottery pick to where it's random. Because like what you're doing now is you're doing like a redraft, but like no one changed. No one really changed during this last draft that they did. They called up some people from NXT, but it was like not even that.
The real ridiculous thing about the draft is it's fucking scripted, guys.
Right.
Do we have to go through the hoopla of a draft? Just have the guy show up on the other fucking show.
I mean, you could still make it entertaining. Like, you know what they should do? The draft should be called Call Up, to where it's Raw versus SmackDown, and you either get a random lottery pick from the losing brand, or you get to pick someone from NXT. So, like, if it's Raw versus SmackDown, it's Sami Zayn versus Logan Paul, let's say. SmackDown wins with Logan Paul. Now, the GM either has a choice to take someone from Raw randomly, or they look at the NXT roster and like, you know what? Let me get Carmelo Hayes. Let me get Trick Williams. Let me get Tiffany Stratton.
You know, you said Logan Paul, and I really that concept I had about whoever's brand you're on at WrestleMania, you could do that for every fucking belt. You could have the Intercontinental guy go against the US guy, and they fight for a smaller trophy. And then now you're on WWE, because it's all about merchandising, right? So then you're on Shop WWE, and you can buy a replica of the trophy for fucking $500. Just like I have those belts right there. And and again, you get a little fucking thing, and then that's the new Triple Crown, where you win the the tag team cup at WrestleMania. You win the fucking the mid card cup at WrestleMania. Then you win the top tier cup at WrestleMania. You've got 3. Like, who else has that? That's the new Triple Crown. Okay, I got 3 trophies. Look at me. I got 3 trophies because I had 3 belts. That's like fucking Michael Jordan level, where I got 3 belts and 3 trophies. Then John Cena coming out doing this means something totally different. I'm just saying, like, I'm just spitballing out here. I just don't like the fact that clearly there's a tier, right? So you've got your top tier, then you've got your middle tier, then you got your tag team. Like the speed fucking matches are retarded. Like,
I think that's just to get people onto fucking Twitter or X, whatever the hell.
I'm going to tell you right now. So, like I said, I was at SmackDown last week. The speed match was okay.
When did they do it? Before or after the show?
Before it started.
Okay.
It was the dark match.
Okay.
But not so dark. The problem that I had was, at least during SmackDown, when Cody and Randy and KO were in the ring during that commercial break, which I guess I haven't watched on TV in a long time. I didn't realize they went to commercial like they did back in the day. I thought they did this commercial, like all right, you're watching this and we're going to commercial. I thought they did it like that,
like
where you're still watching. Yeah, the picture. I thought they did that. And I'm sitting there, and for those of you who have gone to a football game, and all of a sudden you've never seen it live before, and then you go, somebody scores a touchdown to kick the extra point, and you're going, why are they just standing around? And then somebody who's been to a football game goes, they're at commercial break, and you're like, they just fucking stand around? Like, you don't realize it at home because you went to go take a piss and get a beer. But at a game, people talk about baseball, there's a lot of standing around doing nothing. In football, there's a shit ton of standing around. And if you condensed a football game into the amount of time they actually played football, it would be like an hour and 20 minutes. If you count all the time stoppages and all that stuff. Hour 45 max. Somehow we spend 3 hours playing football, even because you have a 15-minute halftime inexplicably for no reason. There's just a break for 15 minutes in the middle of the game. They don't do that shit in high school. I'll let you know that right now. Your break in high school is like 10 minutes and that's it. So like watching it, Randy Orton, KO, Cody Rhodes in the ring, they're playing with the crowd. They're playing with the security. You don't see it at home. You're at commercial. And then you catch up when the commercial comes back, you catch up. When the Bloodline came into the ring and they went to commercial, they literally stood there and did nothing. I was just like,
I don't get that. They do that. Another thing they do too, which I don't understand, is if like one of the triple threat matches, I want to say on maybe Monday or in the past, I've seen it to where the first participant comes out and then they'll be like, right. And then it's not like the other two come out. They'll go to commercial and then they'll go and do like a video package of what happened last week. And then they turn, and it's been like a good almost 5 to like 7 minutes to where this person just like still in the ring, their music is
live
playing.
show. They are just standing. Now again, Cody, Randy, and KO, who I don't like, but I'll give respect to, they were playing with the crowd. They really were. They were grabbing chairs. They were like, "Oh, I'm gonna hit him! Oh, I'm gonna hit him!" They were playing up the crowd a lot, and to the point where I didn't realize they were at commercial yet until it went on for an extended period of time. Then I was like, "Oh, they're at commercial."
Did they kill the lights in the ring? Sometimes they do that. Like
they didn't kill the lights in the ring. They were playing with the crowd, and I enjoyed it personally. But when the Bloodline came in to cut their promo with Paul Heyman at the end of the show after the honoring of Sika, rest in peace Sika, they literally just stood there, and I was just like, this is the difference between being in the company on a televised show for 15 years, like Randy, who's been there 22 years, Cody, who's been there for 20 years, 18 years, something like that. And KO's been there about a little over 10 years, I believe.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the veterans and the Nepo babies that have never been on TV before. They don't know what to do during the commercial break. They literally just stood there. And you could sit there and be like, oh, it's part of their character. They could have at least antagonized the crowd or something.
Right, exactly. Like rip up a sign that says like RKO or something.
You're a heel, I get it. But you could have antagonized the crowd or something. So it was literally a commercial break for those of you at home, and it was a commercial break for those of us in the arena. And I don't think that that's appropriate for a live event that people are paying a lot of money for there to be dead space. There's literally dead time in the middle of the show where nothing happened. You just sat there like, man, I wish something would happen. Shit, anything.
That's part of the reason why
finger in the air.
For like a Raw or SmackDown, I don't like going to them anymore. For that, first of all, the price is ridiculous, and then
especially at the Garden,
right? And then food and drinks, like a beer's probably almost $20, $18.
Yeah, at the Garden,
right. So, and it was funny too because I was thinking of going to SmackDown, and then Melissa didn't want to go. And then I was like, I'm leaving for Boston the next day. It's going to be a lot. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, whatever. I'll watch it from home. And then ironic enough, while I was in Boston, Raw was there in TD Garden. And I was like, shit, I want to be in Boston. I'm like, who wants to go? And no one wanted to go. And to be honest, it's, for a 3-hour show, I'd rather it be Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania. I'd rather be something like that rather than a random Monday Night Raw. For me, anyway.
Nobody wanting to go with you is called karma.
Why?
But the other thing that so like, and I'm trying to go into like, if you've never been to, I've never been to a Raw or SmackDown prior to that. I'd gone to Royal Rumble before. You and I went. We've run house shows before.
Yeah.
But I never went to Raw or SmackDown. So this is my first experience with SmackDown. And being there in person versus being at home watching, being a person that's been at football stadiums, baseball stadiums, hockey, basketball. I've gone to the 4 major American sports and wrestling. And I sat in a suite this time because Pat got a suite.
Yeah.
It just seems so small. Like I'm looking at the max capacity, it's 18,000 people, and the ring looks so small. And like Monday, they were bragging about 14,000 people at TD Bank bullshit garden in Massachusetts because it's not the real garden. There's only one real garden, and it's in New York. Right. And I've been at baseball games with more fucking people than that. Yankee Stadium holds like 40,000 people, and they're like, right. 14,000 screaming fans, and I'm like, great. Meanwhile, go to a fucking basketball arena to watch a Raw. A third of the ring is got no seats because that's where they put the camera crew.
Yeah.
So you don't see it at home because the camera doesn't show that side. That's where the hard camera is, which, by the way, knowing that, how The Rock fucked that up on his debut, I'll never understand. How do you not know? Because you've never been on TV before, you don't know where the how do you not know where the hard camera is? Have you never? It really makes you think, had he ever watched wrestling at that point?
Right.
As a wrestling fan, the hard camera is not at the ramp.
Like, what has your family been teaching you? That's like the number one thing, especially for a debut. I could see like Pritchard and like Vince be like, God damn it, pal. The camera's over there. How do you not know that, though? It's the only spot in the entire arena that doesn't have people sitting there. Right. There's a reason for this. As a fan, I know this. I know where the as a fan, especially back then, the hard camera was either going to be on the opposite side of the ramp, or if you're coming down the ramp, to the right. Those were the only two places they ever put it. They never entered if you're watching TV, they never entered from the right. They always entered from the left or from straight back. Those were the only two options that WWE ever used. So my only assumption is that The Rock was really stupid as a young man, or he just flat out did not watch wrestling, and he was excited. That's the only thing. But again, like to start flexing back from where you came, where literally there is nobody there. I don't know what you were thinking. Like, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And how did the referee not say anything? Like, dude, that's not where the hard camera is. Right. I don't know. But like, but when you go to a wrestling match, it's a lot different of an experience than it is at home. Like I said, during the popcorn matches, there was no reaction. It was very sloppy watching it in person. Like, I'm sitting there going, like, really? There's a lot of missed things going on here. The Tiffany Stratton match. There was a lot of missed stuff going on. Overall, the entire energy in the arena dropped during those matches. And I was like, so much for not needing it to be the divas. Maybe you need that because you'd have got a bigger pop from Sable walking out than you do from fucking any of these girls doing anything, like doing backflips off the second rope and then getting injured and then not seeing them for fucking 8 months. I do like Tiffany Stratton though. She's
pretty. She reminds me for some reason, and I people are gonna get upset about it.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
She reminds me of the actress from 22 Jump Street that's selling drugs. I don't know her name. She's blonde. She's heavy set. She's like Rebel Wilson, but American.
Tiffany Stratton reminds you of that.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
I know I know who you're talking about.
I think she's in Office Christmas Party too. She plays a drug dealer in Office Christmas Party. Her name's Jillian Bell. That's her name.
I know who you're talking about. I don't agree. I love Tiffany Stratton. I honestly think she's gonna win Money in the Bank. You know, like her gimmick is like perfect for that briefcase. So she's hot. I like her.
She's very attractive. She's very attractive. But for some reason, when I see her face, she has very similar facial structure to Jillian Bell, and like I don't have a good reason for like she has a very similar facial structure to Jillian Bell. Like if I did a face merge, you probably would not be able to tell much of a difference. It might just be the facial structure and the color of her hair.
It might be the cheekbones, maybe. You know,
maybe the cheekbones and chin, maybe.
Yeah.
But then again, her hair is also blonde, so that kind of adds to it. And I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything negative about either one of them. I'm not.
Right.
Just so you all understand, I'm not sitting here trying to say, "Oh, Jillian Bell's not." I'm not saying either one of them is unattractive. That's not the case because Jillian Bell's got some attractive, especially because she's funny. I find funny women like very attractive. But yeah, I digress. Money in the Bank. Let's talk about Money in the Bank. So I watched it just so we're tracking. I watched Raw on this morning. Actually, I didn't catch it on Monday. I was busy. Talk about TV breaks and recaps and all that stuff. I fast forwarded through the popcorn matches because I have very little care or regard to watch 5-foot midgets wrestle. And I fast forwarded through, and I literally watched Raw in like an hour and 10 minutes because there was literally nothing going, like nothing happened. Like the AEW fans will sit there and crap on WWE because they don't wrestle. It's kind of factual. They really don't. There's a 3-hour show. There was like an hour and 40 minutes worth of wrestling. If that, mind you, I watched it in a recording. So the commercials were already cut out.
Yeah.
So it was, so I actually watched it. I probably watched it in about an hour and 5 minutes or so. And I only cut out 2 matches. And that was it.
I didn't watch it because I was in Boston. And I was like, well, I'm not going to watch it when I could be there. So I caught like little bits and pieces.
You should have went to the bar across the street and watched it in the bar across the street.
I think they didn't even have it on. They had like baseball.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Why would they watch baseball? The Red Sox suck.
Right? Fuck the Red Sox. But I watched Raw, and some of my favorite things are the Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, and Judgment Day angle that's happening. I like what they're doing with Braun Breaker, which I like what they're doing with Braun Breaker. He's a number 2 guy. Yes, absolutely. But you know what they need to do? Just call him Braun Steiner. He needs the Steiner name. It's like we know his name is Steiner. It was kind of like that's my thing with the whole. That's my whole thing with the bloodline, right? We all know they're related to The Rock. We all know that their names are Fatu and NOI, all of them. Why the fuck are we playing this game? If you're gonna merge them all together and say that they're related, then why is it Jacob Fatu, but his brother doesn't get to be Fatu as well? They made their names already on the indies. They wanted to change all their names. But that's not I don't think Jacob Fatu's name is even fucking Jacob Fatu on the indies though, is it? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I like that they didn't change it. Who? Solo Sikoa's wasn't. No, but I think Solo started in I don't know if he did anything outside of NXT. Really? So you're saying that this Nepo baby got a shot with WWE on day one just because of who he was related to? Look at my shocked face. That's funny. I like what they're doing with the Wyatt Sick. I do. I kind of like it, and it just might be because I'm older. It doesn't give me the same vibe as like fucking Boogeyman. But even then I was older. It also doesn't give me the same vibe as Undertaker. The Undertaker when he was doing the Ministry of Darkness. The Ministry of Darkness. Thank you. I'm fucking sitting here struggling. It doesn't give me that same vibe. I don't feel like they're gonna sacrifice anybody. I just feel like they got creepy fucking and you know what? Honestly, it might just be due to fucking Chad Gable's hammy fucking response to them. Like his frightened demeanor with regard to that is over the top. Yeah.
It's like cartoon fear as opposed to genuine fear.
I also feel like
the crowd isn't buying into it. The crowd is not adding the fear. Because I remember Ministry of Darkness came out and that music hit and shit. Even the crowd was kind of uneasy, like, this is fucking awkward. When they were going to sacrifice Stone Cold and he started singing those lines from fucking Excalibur. Yes, Undertaker. I know those lines were said by fucking Helen Mirren and fucking in Excalibur. All right. They also said him in Ready Player One. I caught you, you son of a bitch. Yeah, that's from fucking Excalibur. I saw that movie. But I don't think the crowd, because the crowd are such smarks that like they just don't buy into the fear behind the character, and because they don't buy into it, it doesn't add to the story. It's just kind of like, okay, great, they're creepy. I guess.
I think it's a different because of social media. You know that it's harder to have that Undertaker like response to these things.
I also
I think the crowd's into it. I just don't know what direction they're going in with this.
They're into it. I feel like they're into it in a weird way. Like they're not into it in the way that I would like them to be into it. They're into it and I like cheering them on. Like I didn't cheer on the fucking Ministry. I was terrified of it. Right. But also all of these characters inexplicably came together. At least in the Ministry, there was a transformation. That's how those characters became part of, like, the APA didn't just wake up on one day. No, they got captured by like druids and shit. Same thing with Viscera. Same thing with fucking Midian. They got captured by druids and sacrificed to the dark fucking spirits and shit. And then you were like, oh fuck, that could happen to anybody. We already know who these characters are. They just gave them a different look, and we're supposed to sit there and be like, oh, they're scary now.
I think once they finally do an in-ring promo, that would be explained. But for like the interviewing, like where Uncle Howdy, who's Bo Dallas, is interviewing Bo Dallas, I don't like it. It's like it's interesting because it's almost like he's like talking to himself, like within his head. So while we see two people, he's having this dialogue internally, but it's playing out as if it's two separate people, like with Bray and the Fiend.
But again, and I'm okay with that. But my thing is, like, when they made their debut, they literally made it into a horror movie, and fucking Chad Gable was dead.
Right. Right. They even made like memes about it.
It's just too over the top. Like he had like a bullet in his head and he's like walking around the next day, like afraid of these people. Well, yeah, they killed you. We saw it. Like it was just their debut was over the top. Who's the girl that's with them?
Nikki Cross.
Inexplicably, like, why am I weirded out by her? Luna Vachon was much more terrifying than Nikki Cross. To this day, Luna's dead and I'm still scared.
Right.
And allegedly she's the sweetest woman in the world, but the fucking tattoo on the side of her fucking head, her being crazy overall.
Her voice.
Everything about her was terrifying. This girl looks like the girl from the fucking Ring. I don't find her frightening at all.
Yeah.
And then they're doing her face at the end of promos like I'm supposed to be afraid of it. Like it's like when you're watching that shit and fucking on your phone and they're like you're watching like some girl do sexy things and all of a sudden like a face turns around and goes ah! And I'm like I'm supposed to be afraid of that. Like come on, man. Like you're reaching.
I'm like reaching. God damn it. I end up throwing my phone.
but yeah, the only segment I really dug from Raw was Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn. But again, I dig Braun. Main event Jey Uso is not very main event as far as I'm concerned. He has charisma, I'll say that much.
What about
I love Chad Gable, but Chad Gable's 3 feet tall.
Right. Kurt Angle wasn't that tall either, I don't think.
Kurt Angle's not 5'6" like fucking Chad Gable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
with being
Chad Gable is rocking Rey Mysterio territory.
Right.
You don't realize it because he's pretty fucking jacked, but he's a little man. All right. So like the concept of him fighting somebody like Roman, like Rock, like anybody who's a normal size is kind of foreign.
Exactly. It's not gonna go over well.
But I do like Chad Gable's style. I imagine that he's like a little bit I imagine he's a little bit better athletically than Brett was, and he's probably on par with somebody like Kurt Angle, where they can do a moonsault, they can do a little bit of high risk and have a good time. But again, I think he's he's crossing into he's kind of like ripping off Kurt Angle's gimmick a little bit, where he was like hammy fucking clown, afraid of things.
Right.
And you're just like, it's kind of cartoonish. But Money in the Bank is set. Let's talk about Money in the Bank.
Yes, Money in the Bank. Shorty, what you think? Not many matches, which I'm a fan of. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches.
I'll tell you right now, that's fucking unacceptable. Imagine paying big money to go there and you see fucking 5 matches and you're like, oh great, I spent fucking $600, $800 for a ticket to see 5 fucking matches.
It's for me. I think it's the yeah. But look at AEW. They had a pay-per-view that has 15 matches, 14 matches.
I'm all right with that. At least you're getting
me,
your money for it when you go. Imagine you went to a baseball game and only got to see 3 innings.
That's pretty much how it is now with the with the.
I hate it. You get to get a beer, you missed half the game.
Right. But
yeah,
I feel like this is more quality over quantity. And these matches are going to go at least 20 plus minutes each, I feel.
I'll be honest with you. I do not like Money in the Bank at all.
As a match or as an event?
It's a ladder match. If we're talking about as a match, it's a ladder match. I don't like it as basically everybody that wins Money in the Bank for the most part. I'm not gonna say everybody, but for the most part, about 99% of the people that win it, all they do is they wait for somebody who just lost the belt. They run into the ring, do one finisher, and win the belt, and it negates. At that point, it becomes a hardcore championship or the 24/7 championship. We literally just saw it happen at Mania.
Right, but it's like the excitement of it, of what that brief. Like, look at Edge, the first cash in. Was amazing.
If it meant that you could challenge for a match later down the road and set up a feud, that would be better. But like Damian Priest carrying the fucking the briefcase for a year and then cashing it in, like, to me, it's like, has he even fought Drew McIntyre again since that?
They fought a couple of times, but it's not since that point. But
that's what I'm saying.
The money,
like, I have zero understanding that Drew McIntyre can beat. That Damian Priest, who's the champion, a secondary champion because he's not the champion, can beat Drew McIntyre.
Actually, I think he has.
And then on top of that, they don't even have a thing. Damian Priest is champion for no fucking reason. They don't even have a thing. Like, who is fucking Damian Priest feuding with right now? Finn Balor?
Seth Rollins.
Is he though?
It's but
that's feud. Seth just wants the belt. It's not a feud. Everybody in the company wants the same belt. Seth's just the guy that has the shot.
Right.
He's actually feuding with his own group. He's feuding with his own group where he walks into the fucking thing every day and they're playing fucking WWE 2K because you got to have that plug every week. And Carlito's playing as Damian Priest, but he has no feud. He's feuding with Finn. He's feuding with his own group.
That's what's going to happen. And you know what? Let's start with the world title match for Money in the Bank, because I love the idea of Money in the Bank because it's that unexpectedness to where anything could happen in the WWE. Like Edge's first cash in, amazing. Dolph's cash in, amazing. Seth Rollins cash in at WrestleMania, amazing.
Yeah, but so here's the problem: is it makes whatever storyline you had involving the belt moot.
What do you mean?
So, Drew fights Seth for the belt, right?
Right.
He wins, or am I crazy? Right? He wins.
Right.
Fucking Phil hits him, and then Money in the Bank gets cashed in by Damian Priest. The end result of Seth losing the belt, Seth, by the way, shares the same birthday as me, Seth losing the belt to Drew is moot. It doesn't matter. It's pointless. Because there was no feud thereafter with Damian Priest. It was over. Done.
Well,
so everything led up to that WrestleMania event. No, I get. No, I'm talking about even with Drew McIntyre. There's no feud with Damian Priest. So he goes back to feuding with CM Punk.
Because CM Punk is the reason why
No,
he
I get
lost.
that, but at that point, you're pulling a full Vince Russo where they're like, it's a prop. It doesn't fucking matter.
The briefcase or the belt?
The belt doesn't fucking matter because he's not even going after the belt at that point. He's going after fucking Phil.
Because the rivalry between Punk and Drew is so
What's
personal.
more important? What's more important, the belt or some bullshit rivalry with a fucking mediocre fucking wrestler? Well, why are they all there? Are they all there to beat each other up, or are they all there to win the belt?
Well, it's bigger than that because you have to look at the psyche of Drew McIntyre. He's been saying for so long that Punk's not a good guy, not a nice guy. He never even assaulted Punk, Drew McIntyre. He just got in Punk's face, and then Punk attacked him. So if you think about it, Punk's the heel, and McIntyre is the face in this situation.
I'm okay with that, but what is the belt? But then what is the belt doing?
Well, it's on a different guy now. So while Drew
and that guy has no
champion,
story,
he beat Rollins,
and that guy has no story.
He does. The Judgment Day is the story. The story is can Damian do it on his own? Well, why is the Judgment Day getting involved? Because now what they're doing is by giving Damian the belts, as you see, like he's feuding with Balor, they're separating them while he's also trying to defend the belt on his own and become the champion that he wants to be. He's breaking away from the Judgment Day. So now it's
my question then becomes, so if he win and or loses the belt tomorrow night, right, is he leaving Judgment Day? Because if he doesn't, then the whole thing was fucking pointless.
He is going to leave Judgment Day because my prediction, because that's a stipulation. I don't know if they mention this, but the stipulation is for the world title match. If Damian wins, Seth does not get a title shot as long as Damian's champion. If Rollins wins, Damian Priest has to leave the Judgment Day. And then Damian said, that's cool because the Judgment Day needs me a lot more than I need them.
And you don't think what's going to happen is exactly what's happening with Chad Gable, where he goes crawling back to fucking, what is it, Alpha Elite or whatever the fuck they're called?
No, what I think is going to happen is Finn Balor is going to cost Damian Priest the title. And then at SummerSlam, we get Damian Priest versus Finn Balor because Gunther won King of the Ring, which makes him the number one contender at SummerSlam. And Gunther versus Seth Rollins is a bigger match than than Damian Priest versus Gunther. Because now you get in 3 matches out of this.
And what is Gunther doing this week?
Well, that's what I like is that Gunther is not on TV. He has his title match for SummerSlam. Why put him into anything meaningless that's going to be short and not effective and not matter? So you essentially have Gunther on the back burner until Money in the Bank. Because once he finds out what champion he's facing, then that's when they can really step on the gas from now until August. And then you have Gunther and Rollins. You have Damian and Finn Balor, and what's going on with the Judgment Day, and you insert Liv Morgan in there as well, who helped Finn Balor and Bobblehead win the tag titles.
Fucking Bobblehead.
And then you have Punk and Drew McIntyre, which has been so personal with everything that they've been doing that you now have 3 top matches for SummerSlam based off of one program.
I'm going to tell you this right now. They're not top matches. If you're not on TV every week, then you're not a top anything.
But you don't need to be on TV every week. We just said that there's too many people, so they're oversaturated.
But
so a guy like Gunther,
it's nobody's fault but their own.
Right, but what they could do is, though, with Gunther being the number one contender, being the king of the ring, if they went king of the ring and then SummerSlam, then it would make sense to have Gunther on TV. But they have Money in the Bank in the middle.
I've seen what's his face from fucking what's this kid? Keeps fucking doing this when he comes to the ring.
Karrion Kross.
Karrion Kross. I was gonna say Cross something. Karrion Kross more in the last 3 weeks than I've seen Gunther.
They're trying to get him over, and it's not working.
Karrion Kross
was a top draw in NXT. He had the music, the entrance, he had the chick. His wife is smoking hot. Everything tied together. And then when he went to Raw, Vince McMahon made him look like the fourth member of fucking Demolition, and it absolutely killed everything. He was NXT champion, destroying everybody in NXT, comes to Raw and loses to 45-year-old Jeff Hardy. Like they absolutely killed him. And
I'm saying is I don't understand how guys that are supposed to be the top guys are just not on TV for like 3.5 weeks. It used to be that like if you weren't on TV, that was like you did something wrong and they're punishing you. You're going to be doing dark matches for your whole life. Like,
but that was when.
And again, there's a shit ton of time where they're not doing anything. To sit there and tell me that you can't fit another match in between fucking all these promos cut and recaps of last week is ridiculous. I just fast forwarded through 30 matches, like through 30 minutes of them doing nothing. They could have fit another match there. But we digress. Just to follow up with Money in the Bank and what's happening tomorrow. So that was your prediction for the heavyweight championship match. What's your prediction for the Intercontinental? I think Braun wins it because I just don't feel like Sammy's strong enough as a character to carry that belt.
Well, what's your call for the world title match?
I think Seth wins. I don't think Damian ends up leaving the Judgment Day. I think what happens is that Finn gets kicked out of the Judgment Day. Damian ends up trying to leave, or they try to enforce like this whatever, and then like Finn tries to start the revolution against Damian, and they kick Finn out of the Judgment Day, and they change their name to something else. The new LWO, considering the percentage of them that are Hispanic now.
I think that Seth wins because of Finn Balor, unintentionally. Damian gets tight, and then all the Judgment Day takes Damian out.
I mean, that's very possible.
That's
my
call.
It's so predictable at that point that's the only part that makes me kind of sit there and go, "Ooh, maybe that's not it." Only because, like, that's so predictable. Like, all right, like that's Mickey Mouse writing from 1994.
Yeah. But also, too, that's why you can't have a guy like Gunther on TV or in a match for what? Who's he going to fight? Local talent from Boston?
Yes.
Some other.
All he does. Like, he's not remote.
For what, though? I'm saying, like, what's the point of putting Gunther on TV?
If you're going to have that guy be a Nazi on TV, at least make him be a real fucking Nazi and not tiptoe around being a Nazi. Like, tell him to go out there and start goose stepping or some shit and say some anti-Semitic things so that we can hate him for real.
You'll see more of Gunther after this paper.
And I also want to point out, Gunther is a stupid fucking name.
Yeah. It's better than Walter.
They're both fucking terrible names.
Right. But I'm saying his original name was Walter.
They'd have been better off calling him Johan or some shit like that. Fucking
Johan.
Gunther. Gunther sounds like a fat kid's name. Augustus Duke.
That's funny. The Intercontinental match. I agree with you. I honestly think that this match should be the shortest match on the card. The way Braun has been running through people, if Braun loses this match, then you derailed all momentum that you have with him.
You know what's really crazy? Did you watch the promo on Monday with fucking Sammy?
Yeah. That I did.
Sammy basically confirmed that he loses all the fucking time, but I'll get back up. That's great. You're going to get back up without the belt.
Right.
It's like, you know how many people have destroyed me? So you're saying you lose a lot.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's my takeaway too. But I'm thinking that it's definitely Braun Breaker. The time is now. Strap the belt on him. Let him be dominant like Gunther was. And
make that belt mean something again. Because right now it doesn't mean dick.
I think they need to change the design too. The design is
the design is horrid. It's an oval, for Christ's sake. It's an egg.
I hate it.
I hate that belt. Go back to that belt right there. That right there, the one that Razor carried. Go back to that belt right.
I like that one.
There. Put the toothpick holder in it and everything.
Let's hop over to the popcorn match for you, which is the women's Money in the Bank. The 6 ladies that are in there are Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Lila Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Zoe Stark. The two people that I think should win this match are both on SmackDown, and that's Tiffany Stratton or Chelsea Green. I think just with their the gimmick of Money in the Bank alone is perfect for Tiffy. Tiffy time. That's it. All she has to do is hold the briefcase and say that she'll cash in when it's Tiffy's time. And, you know, she's a heel. These gimmicks are better for the heels because, like John Cena's like, I'm going to cash in on you at Raw 1000 or some bullshit like that. The point of the Money in the Bank, I know you don't agree with it, is to take advantage of the champion and give a mid-carder that extra oomph to get to the next level. And for me, I would put it on Tiffany Stratton.
I mean,
any of the
I have zero input as to who should win this match because it really doesn't fucking matter to me. I'm gonna fast forward through those matches regardless, so it's like whatever. I mean, again, I don't like watching all people fucking wrestle. It's just not impressive to me whatsoever.
That's fair.
But I agree that yes, it should be used to catapult a mid-carder into a main event conversation. But I also do believe that at the same time there should be a story built up with that cash-in. Or do a complete swerve. Like if they would have had Damian Priest involved in the bloodline a little bit and then he cashed in on Cody, or if he had him involved with the bloodline to the point where you're like, oh, he's going to cash in on Cody, and then he fucking pulls a 180 and cashes in on Drew, you're like, oh my God, I didn't see that. But to have him just come out. Well, I'm sorry, say that again?
You reminded me of something, no story. And that's because WrestleMania threw everything off. But months prior, when Seth was champion and he was, feuding with, and when Seth was feuding with Drew, Damian tried to cash in. But Drew McIntyre kept on stopping Damian Priest from doing so. So there were times to where Damian, where Drew McIntyre, just cost Damian that opportunity. So, which is also, I think, why Damian was like, yeah, I'm just going to cash in on.
I think it's okay. But again, but for that feud to end as soon as he wins the belt is ridiculous.
Right. Right. Like immediately,
it would have made more sense. Listen, while Phil was on the fucking mend, it would have made more sense for Drew to go back after Damian, win the belt, and then just give CM Punk. I can't stand that name, by the way, because he is not a chick magnet by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, his track record's pretty good.
Whatever. They have those women must have been beaten by their previous boyfriend. They have low expectations of life. And then went out of his way just to give CM Punk a fucking opportunity just because. Because, like, bro, I want to beat you so badly, I'll give you a shot at my fucking belt just to do it. And we're going to do it at a Hell in a Cell. But for him to just be like, I've been aspiring so long to win this belt from Seth Rollins. This motherfucker stole it from me in 2.3 seconds. I literally had the belt for 8 seconds, and somebody stole it from me. And now I don't care about the belt anymore. Give me a fucking break. So the last 6 months don't mean shit.
Well, what they did was he was in like a fatal four-way match.
They had to keep CM Punk relevant while he was on the mend. I get it.
Yeah.
Too many stars, and they had to keep Phil fucking relevant. It's not like Stone Cold where he leaves for 8 months with a broken neck and then comes back and he's just as interesting as the day before he left.
Right.
I get it. So now Drew's been doing nothing but complaining about CM Punk for the last 4 months. Real great use of Drew McIntyre's time while he walks around looking like bearded Gaston.
That's funny. The other two matches, I'm going to save the men's Money in the Bank for last. The other match is the 6-man tag. Cody, KO, and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa. Well, actually, they never even mentioned which 3 it is. So it's those 3 versus the Bloodline. I think you have to have the Bloodline win. Bloodline has to win this match. And some of the rumors, that I heard is that the main event for SummerSlam is going to be Solo versus Cody Rhodes for the title. See, to me, that's not a main event for SummerSlam. Not yet.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't feel like this 6-man tag, that was shit that we used to see on fucking Raw.
Right.
And now it's the fucking, is that the main event for fucking Money in the Bank?
I saw on
that looks like that might be the main event for Money in the Bank.
The only way that's the main event is if Roman Reigns returns, and I think it's a little too early for Roman to come back.
But again, like it doesn't, like it's something we used to see on fucking Raw, man.
What they're gonna do is the world title match is gonna be the main event, because that could
I don't know,
oh my
WrestleMania
God.
Wasn't it the opener on night 2? They opened
right,
that means nothing. So yeah, you're probably right. It means nothing. So it might just be like right in between the two Money in the Bank matches.
No, the world title match for me, if I'm booking the show, I would start the show off with the men's Money in the Bank and then end it with the world title, because then you have that in the back of your mind. Holy shit, could there be a cash in tonight? If you have the world title match before the Money in the Bank, you know you're not getting a cash in.
No, I said it might get sandwiched in between the two Money in the Bank matches.
Well, I think the men's Money in the Bank will be before the world title match, regardless of where they are on the show.
I want to see somebody just go against the script and win Money in the Bank and go for the Intercontinental belt.
They did that.
Watch everybody's brain explode.
That 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they did that. When Roman was champion for fucking 3 years, Austin Theory cashed in on the U.S. title and lost. He lost.
Right. I'm all right with that. Austin Theory's a fucking herb, too.
I think that the Bloodline wins this match, and I would love for Randy to turn heel on Cody, and then we get Randy versus Cody at SummerSlam.
That'd be cool.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I definitely am picking the Bloodline to win this match with a possible Randy Orton heel turn.
I honestly don't have an opinion on the match because it really doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. It's like
right.
It really just threw 3 guys together to go against the Bloodline of 4 nepo babies that really don't have all that much talent between the 4 of them. You know, everybody's going crazy over Paul Heyman. Oh, he literally stayed up for 6 years so that he would look like he was tired and disheveled. He didn't shave. I didn't shave this morning either. Right? It took very little effort to grow hair while I slept.
Right.
and quite frankly, I mean, it is at 150% possible that they just put makeup on the guy. I mean, They are a television industry. Like, oh no, he didn't sleep for 5 days because he's method. Like, or they just gave him a little menthol to make his eyes look teary, and they just put makeup on him. That's right. Like Undertaker wasn't really dead.
He hit a doobie backstage before he went.
Yeah, really. Like Chad Gable wasn't actually dead. It's called makeup. It works.
Right.
But no, he put him in the Hall of Fame again because he stayed up for 4 days. Show it to me. I want to see where he stayed up for 4 days. But I don't really give a fuck who wins that match. It doesn't make a difference. Again, I don't find any of those Bloodline kids to be remotely interesting at all. Roman is somewhat interesting, but not all that talented as far as I'm concerned. So it just, you know, and you know, what's so funny is like early on, Cody Rhodes is a nepo baby. Once he had to go through the Stardust shit and then fucking had to leave and really make his own bones, I have a ton of more respect for him than I did when he was walking around looking like his father's son. Now he's a different person. He's a totally different character than he was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But those Bloodline kids, they're all nepo babies. If they weren't fucking related to The Rock, they'd be jobbing in TNA.
Right.
So, like, I really don't care to watch them wrestle or do anything. They're not remotely interesting, any of them. And without Paul Heyman, I don't even know what they're going to do with a microphone in their hands.
Yeah.
They're just going to they're going to acknowledge each other for fucking 10 minutes in the ring. Because they don't
their
enough
fingers
time.
in their bubbles.
That's it. They're gonna be finger popping each other's assholes.
There you go. Another 21 Jump Street reference. That's 2. And then the men's Money in the Bank. This I'm intrigued with because the only former world champion is Drew McIntyre. So we got Drew McIntyre. We got main event Jey Uso. We got Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, and L.A. Knight. Yeah. So only Drew has been champion before, and I feel that this match is going to be heavily overbooked. You're going to have Drew McIntyre. You're going to have CM Punk cost Drew McIntyre. You're going to have the Wyatts cost Chad Gable. You're going to have Logan Paul cost LA Knight. So it's anyone can win this match. I feel it's going to be Jey Uso. Or what I think also could happen, you're going to have the Bloodline cost Jey Uso the match. A lot is going to be happening.
Jimmy's going to come back and cost Jey the match, and
I think it's going to be the current Bloodline, because you got to think the way that they're building the Bloodline is going to be at Survivor Series in a War Games. It's going to be the old Bloodline versus the new Bloodline, and that's where it's going to culminate. But they're planting seeds now. It literally could be anybody, but if I had to pick, I would either pick I would pick Jey Uso or Chad Gable
to win. Chad Gable's 3 feet tall, so I'm not thinking he's going to win ever. I'm going to be honest with you. I really enjoy Carmelo Hayes. He ain't winning.
He's him. Not yet.
I really like LA Knight.
Yeah.
It could be him. Jay's probably going to win because the Nepo babies always win. So like if you have a hint of NOI in your family heritage, you're winning. Like now,
the Rock's on the board. The Rock's on the board. So
Nia Jax only has a fucking job because she's related to them, as she injures people on a regular basis. She's basically fucking Ryback as a woman. Andrade has the wrong bloodline because he's banging the wrong relative. If he was banging one of those NOI kids instead of Flair's daughter, he might have a shot. But I don't think he's got a shot either. I mean, Andrade wrestled on a dark match last week for the Speed Championship. And I think, did he win? No. Did he win? I feel like he won. Did he win? Yeah, he won. No, did he win? Fuck, I don't even remember. That's how inconsequential it is. So I really do think it comes down to LA Knight and Drew McIntyre as far as potentially winning. I think fucking Punk fucks with Drew McIntyre. LA Knight overcomes. Is he done with his fucking program with fucking Logan Paul?
No, that's another SummerSlam match.
I just can't see fucking Jimmy or Jey Uso winning the fucking championship. Just because it's so tiresome with these fucking give them their own fucking show already. We're talking about too many superstars. Yeah, there's too many superstars related to the NOIs. Give them their own fucking Samoan show, Samoan Championship Wrestling. And it could be on Thursdays so that they can all wrestle each other and they can all be mediocre with little to no talent and have microphones given to other people to talk for them because none of them have anything entertaining to say. Like I like the man can't even use the word yeet properly. Yeet? So everybody knows. Yeet means you fucking threw something. Like if an overhead yeet would for me to take a ball and fucking chuck that shit across the country. That's a fucking yeet. This is not a yeet. Whatever this is not a yeet. I don't know what that is. That's getting superhead as far as I'm concerned. Like, what are you doing? Like that's
right. You're doing this after you get that Hawk Tui. So
seriously, like he'll probably win just because of who he's related to, but that does nothing for the story because he's not involved in a program right now at all. And I don't see him being main event anything. Wasn't even on the fucking show last Friday. He did a dark match after the show.
Well, no, he's a Raw guy. He's on Raw. He's on SmackDown.
Well, he showed up on SmackDown, dude.
Yeah, but
I watched him wrestle last week.
It was a dark match. It wasn't on TV. It was dark, like your hat.
And but yeah, it's probably Jay. Much to my disdain, it's probably Jay. But I do see a very bright future for Carmelo Hayes. I like Carmelo Hayes a lot.
Me too.
It should be Drew, but it won't be Drew. It might be Drew, and then Drew goes, "I'll put my money in the bank on the line against fucking CM Punk," and then CM Punk wins the Money in the Bank because they want to give that guy a championship so badly. Why? I don't know. Again, another technical wrestler that does nothing remotely interesting. I don't know. You know what it is? Again, it's the same reason Taylor Swift's popular. He's the everyman that's not moderately fucking good at anything. So he's over.
Yeah, I like
He's
Taylor
so
Swift.
over because he's mid, like Sami Zayn. By the way, it's hell of a kick. Like, literally, it's supposed to, oh, that's a hell of a kick.
Haluva. It's
Is
a
haluva?
haluva kick.
What the fuck is haluva?
Uh,
It definitely was hell of a on a fucking indie circuit. He's like, yeah, my finish is called the hell of a kick. And Vince was like, this is a PG show now. You can't call it that.
yeah.
We'll call it haluva.
I can see him a heck of a. Oh, that was a heck of a kick.
Yeah. Anyhow, I digress, Matt. It's your show.
Yes. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Money in the Bank is on the 6th. Don't know when this show is going to air. Probably Saturday morning. Well, today's Friday.
Friday.
So we are filming this on Friday. My days are all over the place. Check this out on Saturday. Watch Money in the Bank. Tweet at us. You see the little ats underneath our names. And, you know, I'll try to get a little more consistency with this. You know, work is now screwing my life up, you know, so
Damn
like
work.
any other job, right? Like, how dare you
Put food on my table, you sons of bitches.
Right. Like, how dare you make me do things for the money that I'm making? But it was great seeing everybody.
You sound like
Cash
Mercedes
money.
Monet.
What'd you say?
I said, now you sound like Mercedes Monet.
Shut the fuck up. That's what they're going to do. They're going to start booing me. Anywho, thanks for joining. Peace out.